And so it's that time again for Cover to Cover. It is March 17th, also known as St. Patrick's Day. Now, I was thinking this morning that St. Patrick's Day, I think, is my new favorite holiday because I was thinking about it. It's about getting rid of snakes, and I hate snakes. So we're just going to go with it's Kate's new favorite holiday.
Yeah, mine's Halloween because I get to eat all the candy.
Oh, that helps too. That helps too. So we have a whole new episode of Cover to Cover this week, and I'm going to let Bailey, this wonderful co-host of mine, take the lead because I have not read these books. So believe it or not. So Bailey, take it away.
All right. So today we're going to do The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. It was originally turned into a movie, I think, in 2015, but the first book actually came out in May of 2013. And basically, what it is it's this huge, basically like an apocalypse, I guess you could call it, but it's not really until after the invasion starts happening.
Now, is the invasion, is it like an alien invasion, or is it like a disease invasion, or is it?
It's a lot of things.
Okay.
Like there's 7-day period where once this huge aircraft shows up in it's not in the atmosphere, but it's close enough where they can see it really well.
Oh, that's not good.
No. It was 7 days, and they did not say anything. They didn't do anything. They just sat there. So after the 7 days, they started having all their power went out. And, I mean, everything. There was plane crashes. There was car crashes.
So everything was going down.
Everything that was electric shut down.
So it's kind of like that, what was the show that was on NBC, the Revolution show that was on there for a while?
I've not seen that yet.
But it was kind of the same thing, like anything on a power grid was gone completely, anything electric.
There was a plane that crashed once it actually happened. There was car wrecks up and down all the highways. There was a lot. So after that, and it actually says it on the back of this, they know how we think. They know how to kill us. They've taken everything worth living for it. Now they've come to take the things worth dying for.
Oh.
Yeah. That's on the back of it. And this is the book. This is the first one, and these are the second and the third one. This one came out in 2014 and then 2016.
So, and the first one came out in 13? Okay.
But it was made into the movie, and they stayed really true to the movie, which I love. But it actually says, after the first wave, only darkness remains. After the second, only the lucky escaped. After the third, the unlucky survived. After the fourth wave, just one rule applies. Trust no one.
Ooh.
Fifth wave happens, and because it goes by waves. You get the first wave, which was the power. Second wave, some other stuff. Third wave was tsunamis and any kind of
natural disasters.
Yeah, any kind of catastrophic natural disasters. I mean, there was bridges wiped out, huge buildings, London were wiped out,
earthquakes.
Yeah, it was everything. And then disease, and now they're at the fifth wave. Cassie's mom, Cassie is one of the main characters in the book and in the movie, but her mom was one of the nurses, and when the second wave, which was disease, happened, her mom actually ended up getting sick from trying to help save the people, and she ended up dying.
So, and disease was the
second wave.
Second wave, okay.
It goes darkness, disease, carried by birds.
Wait, birds?
Yeah.
Disease carried by birds?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought the third wave was like carried by birds.
No.
People were carried by birds.
The disease that was really, really catastrophic to a lot of people was the disease that birds transmitted, because birds are everywhere.
Yeah, like bird flu. And
yeah, it was so deadly, though, that if you were around anybody, like, they ran out of room for graves. It was so many people dying, and it was ridiculous. After the second wave, you have the third, which is your natural disasters, tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, volcanoes going off. It was anything and everything you can imagine. It was happening at once. Fourth wave hits, and it's whatever remains, they started coming down. And it wasn't even that they were coming down from the ships. They had embedded chips in people when they were
How
younger.
did they do that?
Don't know. But they were actually asleep, I guess you could say, until the ship came down, and then they started awakening them. Once they started awakening them, they did whatever they wanted. Mm-hmm. And throughout the book, it's really cool to see how this one character, Evan, kind of evolves, I guess you could say, because he is one of them.
So who are the main characters in the book? Who
Okay,
are the people we're going to follow?
Cassie, which is the one who was fighting to save her little brother. Mm-hmm. I'm trying my hardest right now to remember her brother's little name. Evan, they call them the others because they're not them, but they're human. Like, they're in human bodies, so they just call them the others. Evan is one of the others. You have a whole bunch of different people actually in it, but let's see if we can find the names.
But it sounds like very much in the vein of like something like The Hunger Games or Divergent, and that it's like this post-apocalyptic world that, you know, everything happens after some great catastrophe that no one really knows what happened exactly.
And that's kind of what it is, but like it really evolves around her trying to save her brother because her dad ended up dying, her mom's gone, so it's just her and her brother. And it's this huge story of where is he, what I'm going to save my brother no matter what. And it's just really cool to see how Cassie evolves and grows up and matures throughout the entire book.
Right.
But you have Cassie, Evan Walker, which is the other. We'll see if it says it in one of these.
So the others are they're like aliens. Human. Ooh, like a body snatcher. So aliens in human bodies.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of cool because if you think about it, you can't see if they're an other or not.
Yeah, it's just kind of something that you learn
eventually. So this does not want to tell me her brother's name.
It's all right.
Which really gets on my nerves. I will look it up during break and let y'all know because it's going to bother me now.
Yeah.
I didn't break it.
But I mean, it seems like this is a young adult novel?
Yeah.
A young adult series.
Yeah.
And are there any more coming out, or is it just going to be that trilogy? It's a trilogy.
The Last Star, I actually waited for this book to come out for like a year. And it got to the point my grandma gave me a $25 Pizza Million gift card.
Just so you could get
Just to get it when it came out. And then ended up spending it before it came out and got it anyways.
Oh, wow.
But it's actually, this is the last one. And it's a really, really good book. It helps you go deeper into it and into the story.
So have there been any kind of rumors or anything about possible spin-off trilogies? Or
I've heard nothing.
You've heard nothing?
I've heard nothing.
There's no chatter on the internet or anything like that?
Not yet.
That's not good.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a spin-off of the books. I just want the second book into a movie.
Yeah.
That's all I care for.
Now, I hear that the first movie didn't do very well. I mean, box office-wise and
Box-office-wise, no. Critics-wise, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure the critics didn't read the book. And they left off, because, I mean, you can't fit. Y'all see how big this book is. You can't fit this entire book into a movie that's 2.5 hours.
Well, that's true for any film. You know, you have, I mean, if you go something back to a classic book that was made into a movie like Gone with the Wind, it's, you know, the movie is 4 hours long. The book's like 1,013 pages. And she, you know, in the book, Scarlett has 2 other kids other than just the one that she has in the movie. So, you know, they have to glean what they can from the story so that they can tell the story effectively on a film without bogging it down with detail. This is for y'all watching this right now. 91 chapters in this book, but they're really short. 457 pages. So there's no way that they could have made this entire book into the movie. Yeah. And I think that's why the critics didn't really care for it, is because they couldn't put the entire storyline in. They could only put bits and pieces. And pacing has a lot to do with that as well. Yeah. You know, when you take a book, you want to make sure that the pace is keeping it up. Because in the book you have so much exposition and description of different things and things that you cannot possibly have in a film, all of it. So they have to, and so I think a lot of the time, a lot of the storyline is sacrificed for the sake of pacing, you know? Yeah, and I think, honestly, they could have made that entire book into a movie. I would have sat there and watched it. I'm being honest. I would have sat there. Just like if they put the entire Game of Thrones book into one episode.
I would sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
I would sit there and watch it because it's something to the fans worth seeing. Mm-hmm. And that's my thing. Like, same thing with Vampire Academies. Mm-hmm. 6 books, after the first book was made into a movie, they stopped. Yeah. Because the ratings weren't good enough.
Well, yeah, and
even though to the fans, we were going insane because we wanted the second one. Right. Even I was not happy with some of the casting, but it was they stayed true to the storyline, and I wanted to see more of it. I wanted to see how they chose to portray the books.
Yeah,
but that's not going to happen because they want to be buttholes.
Well, no, I think it's more, the studios. When you have it's hard to adapt everything that you need to adapt into a film, and I think sometimes there are certain things that just don't come across as well. Yeah. Whether it's anything from casting because they want to make sure they get somebody who's marketable, or whether they want to get someone who's an unknown, or someone who doesn't look exactly like the fans of the book picture in their head, or anything like that. I think so it can be a really difficult thing to pull off that kind of thing, and it is hard because I can understand completely if you're a fan of a story and you only get the first piece of it. Yeah. You want the rest of it too. Yeah. But I bet. I'm sure it can be very, very difficult to figure out. And I've noticed that a lot with in a lot of other movies that have been taken from books, adapted from books. That they'll make the first one and they're like, oh, that didn't do so well. So.
But that's the thing with it though. If you keep on with it, it'll pick up because people are like, oh, well, what's the first one? Mm-hmm. Just like with Hunger Games. I loved Hunger Games. I've read all the books. I've seen every single movie. My mom, because when I was going to bring her for a doctor's appointment, my doctor's appointment was at 9 o'clock in the morning. MRI was at 4 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So we won't go on all the way home, come all the way back. Mom's like, well, we'll go to the movies. What do you want to go see? I want to go see Catching Fire, second Hunger Games movie. Mom's like, oh, but it's about starving children. It's about this and it's this. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not what you think.
It's not. And when we got in there about 15 minutes after it had started. My mom's like, this is really good. Mm-hmm. We ended up having to leave Arthur Yancey.
What she was saying was who is the author of The Fifth Wave. So
yeah, Rick Yancey.
Yeah, Rick Yancey. So The Hunger Games, that was obviously a wildly popular.
It was.
And book series and a wildly popular film because they did a fantastic job with it, in my opinion.
They did.
But
the casting was spot on with that.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. So do we have a clip or anything from?
There is a clip from the movie, and there's also the trailer from the first movie.
Okay,
so we're gonna do the trailer first. So this is that. So y'all enjoy.
All right, be good.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you too, Mom.
Who can give me the derivative of X?
What's going on?
Oh my God. What's happening?
Again, the Odyssey satellite received images of an object moving past Mars.
I want to see.
I didn't know it then, but that was the last normal day of my life.
Reason to believe there's an imminent threat to this location.
All right, stay with your sister.
It started coordinated attacks on metropolitan areas.
The first wave knocked out all the power. Then the second wave hit. An earthquake strong enough to shake the entire planet.
Cassie! Okay, I got you.
With the third wave, disease spread across the world. By the fourth wave, they were among us.
The others have the ability to inhabit human hosts. They could be anywhere. We can't trust anyone anymore.
Cassie!
The others took my brother, and I'm gonna go get him.
You will learn to think, move, and fight like soldiers.
You won't get very far on your own. Grab the gun and snap my hand away. Good.
What are you? This is our world. This is our home. Our only choice is to take it back.
I know you're human.
How?
Because if you were one of them, you would have shot me already.
So we did a little bit of research during the break. So
yeah.
So Rick Yancey, the author of the book, he's written a number of books that are kind of suspense and young adult fiction, kind of geared towards young adults. But an interesting fact about him was he worked for the IRS for about 12 years. He was a tax collector.
I don't understand how you go from IRS to best-selling teen fiction.
Well, it's writing is a skill, and it's probably it's a passion, and you don't have to do it as your full-time job, but you gotta make a living.
Yeah.
But he so he worked for the IRS, and he actually had a memoir that he wrote called Confessions of a Tax Collector.
That'd be interesting.
But the Fifth Wave series is his biggest
hit.
He also wrote a book, I think it was called like The Adventures of Alfred Kropp, which is about a teenager getting a hold of Excalibur.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so definitely check him out, Wikipedia him, Google
him,
whatever you need to do. But he sounds like an interesting guy. I want to read that Confessions of a Tax Collector.
You have fun with that.
I will have a blast.
I'll stick with these three here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that was the trailer for the first movie, which stays really true to the book. And I'm really glad about that. They did change some things though, and just as far as like some of the ways that you would imagine the characters, they kind of tweaked it a little bit. Because the guy who plays Evan Walker, cannot think of his name to save my life right now, but the guy who plays Evan Walker, which you'll see a clip of him in a second, and him and Cassie, and he's in the book. You think of him strong Southern country boy is what I had imagined, and when you see the character and who plays him, it's just like, wow, they stayed really true to it, but they also did some other things to it to help improve the character and how he's portrayed, which I'm really glad of. I think it's Mortez. I cannot think of how to say her last name to save my life.
Oh, Chloe Moretz.
Yeah, Moretz.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah. She plays Cassie in the movie, and she is a phenomenal actress.
Oh, she's fantastic.
I love her to death.
I've seen
I love her movies.
And a number of others. She was in. I remember she was in the remake of Carrie.
Yeah,
I think. And
that movie was really good.
She did a good job.
She did really good with that. But she plays Cassie Sullivan, and her little brother, which is the one where she's fighting to find him. It's just her and her brother. Both their parents had died. You really get to see how well she can truly portray desperation and hope and determination in finding one person, and how much somebody can truly care about just one person in this world. And I think that's what really stands out, because a lot of people, even though we're not in that kind of situation, we can connect with how Cassie relates and feels about her little brother. Because it might not be a sibling, it could be a mom,
but we all
it could
have
be a dad.
someone.
There's somebody in this world that you would go through anything and everything for to help them and make sure they're okay. And I think that's what stands out, is she's so willing to do whatever she has to do to find him.
And is that kind of the overarching theme of the story?
Yeah.
The determination of this character and the hope that she holds on to, and not giving up on anything, no matter what the circumstances.
Yeah. Towards the end of the book, and I'm not spoiling anything, because the movie's 3 years old, so if you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to see it. Just saying. But towards the end of the book, she ends up finding her little brother, and it's just a whole bunch of things that are happening. So the first book is more towards her, and the movie is more towards her finding her brother and saving him. The further in you get, as far as second and third book goes, it's more of, how do we stop this? How do we save everybody and bring everybody back? Because it's not the kind of thing where, oh, they are completely gone. No, it's not that. They have this little, I guess you could call it like a, not a host,
surrogate?
No.
I don't know.
It's like, okay, so what it is, it's like this little thing, like this little bug, I guess you could call it, on your brain.
Oh,
So
like a parasite.
Yeah, a parasite, that's the word. They're still them, but they aren't being controlled by themselves. They're being controlled by something else.
Okay.
And throughout the movie, it's, how do we stop this? How do we figure out a way to get the parasites out and bring the people back? And I think that's what stands out throughout the second book, the third book, is Cassie is trying to figure out a way to bring everybody back from the parasite.
Because from what I realized with like these kinds of trilogies, it starts with kind of the basic part of the story to get you to know the characters and love them. And then the second and third books can always go way more in depth than the first one.
They really do.
So, yeah, but it's definitely, it's definitely something that I think, especially for people who are young adults or enjoy young adult books or anything like that, should definitely check out. And I think it's really really good thing.
Yeah, but we're gonna play a little clip from the movie. It's Cassie and Evan, and it's honestly one of my favorite parts in the movie because it's just really funny and lighthearted, even though Cassie is kind of furious at the moment.
and it sounds like it's probably normally a kind of a downer of a film or a book.
It really is. But when you see this in that kind of situation, it just really lightens the mood a little bit, I guess you could say. But here's that clip, so y'all enjoy.
I'm going with you.
Evan, I don't need
If you
anyone.
go,
Actually, no.
I'll just
If I
follow
need someone
you.
to carve a cane
You
for me
can't
or slap
stop
a
me.
bandage
How
on
are you
my
gonna
leg.
stop me?
I don't know. Maybe I'll shoot you.
What, like you shot that guy with a crucifix?
You read my journal.
I didn't think you were gonna live.
Touch me.
All right. So that was a little bit of your movie.
I know, I love it. I'm probably gonna go home and watch it, honestly.
Yeah, but so the Fifth Wave trilogy by Rick Yancey. Go to your local library or our library and check it out. And
And I know I didn't mention the names of the other books. It's The Fifth Wave, which that's the cover for that one. Infinite Sea, which is the second one, and The Last Star. And The Last Star, like I said, I waited over a year for that book to come out.
So anxiously awaited third part of a trilogy. So thank you for that information because I had no idea.
It's so good.
It was kind of before my time of reading a lot of young adult novels and things like that. So anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit, do our rundown this week that we do every week. We do the New York Times bestseller list. So we talk about the top 5 books, and these are the top 5 combined print and e-book fictions. Fiction books.
Can't talk
I
today.
can't speak today. It is Friday. And
Our brains are gone.
Yeah, it's so anyway. So the first one, the number 1 bestseller. Well, actually, let's start at the bottom. Let's go that way.
Bottom, work our way up.
So number 5 is A Man Called Uva by Frederick Bachman.
I know I didn't say it right last week. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
It took me. I had to look up the pronunciation to make sure I got it correctly done. The 4th is Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty.
I still have not seen that on
Which
HBO yet.
I definitely advise you to either read the book or check out the miniseries on HBO. It's so that's I'm sure. And the interesting thing is that book came out a while back. I think it came out in like 2014 or 2013, 2015, a couple of years ago. And now that the book has been made into a miniseries, it's bumped up the popularity of it. And so that is our number 4 New York Times bestseller. The 3rd is Dangerous Games by Danielle Steele, a fan favorite of many.
I feel like I've read that.
Yeah, it's a new book. It's a pretty brand new book. It's come out in like the past month or 2.
I don't know. I'm thinking of something else.
And
I had to read one in school that was dangerous something.
Yeah, I don't think you would have had to read Danielle Steele in school. I don't think that would have been appropriate to read anything Danielle Steele in school.
Something I don't know what it was, but this guy was like hunting people.
Yeah. Number 2 is Silence Fallen by Patricia Briggs. And number 1 is The Shack by William P. Young, which is being made into a movie, or it's coming out either this week or the next week.
I think it's next week, if I'm not mistaken.
With and it has Octavia Spencer in it, so anything with Octavia Spencer in it, I will go see. I think she is fantastic, but the cool thing about that is Octavia Spencer plays God.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, she plays God. It's this guy. He pictures God in a way that he pictures God in a way that would be someone like who was kind to him in his life, and it was a school teacher of his that was like really nice to him when he was a kid, when nobody else was. So The Shack is our number 1 New York Times best-selling book this week.
I'm gonna have to read it.
We'll see how things change next week because they change pretty quickly, and there are always new books coming out that are kind of taking over. And next week we'll also include the New York Times combined print and ebook nonfiction books for those of you who are nonfiction lovers like I am. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd for history and
I'll stick with
anything
these right
like that.
here where it takes me to a different place.
So anyway, so we'll do that next week. We'll add those in, and
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and next week we've been thinking about some ideas, and I think I've been thinking a little bit. I don't know what you think about. There's a book series that I personally love. It's a personal favorite of mine. It's a young adult kind of children's series called Peter and the Starcatchers. I don't know if you've read it.
Mm-mm.
It's a Peter Pan prequel series, and it is phenomenal. It is one of my absolute favorite series in the whole world. I read it when I was, 20, and it was for kids. I mean, it's for young adults and children, but it is a fantastic story, and we'll jump into that next week. So I'm looking forward to talking about that because I'm a nerd for it, in the biggest sense of the word.
It'll be interesting. Y'all stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. But so that about does it. So St. Patrick's Day. If you go out and decide to have a Guinness or two, don't drink and drive.
Be careful.
Be careful.
Please, be careful. Especially because it is on a Friday.
If you're underage, do not touch the stuff.
Just if you're 18, go be the GD.
Yeah, be good for people. So anyway, but yeah, so that's about does it for our cover to cover this week. Thank you for tuning in, and you can find us on the radio or on YouTube or on Facebook.
If you want to find the movie, if you want to find the books, come up here. We might have the movie.
I don't know. I'll have to check and see. We might.
If not, you can find it. I promise.
You can find
Netflix it. Hulu it. You'll find it somewhere.
Yeah, but thank you so much for joining us, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time on Cover to Cover.